Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Cherry and Timber Talk. And what a lovely day to go live today. Lots of cricket action, and obviously we are focused primarily on the India versus England T20, but we'll also talk about the women's game as well as the Road Safety World Series, which is going to happen. Glad to be joined by Suvajit today. Hi, Suvajit. How are you doing, man?
Hi. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice to see you outside and enjoying the nice Mumbai weather.
Yeah, it is. I mean, honestly speaking, the cases and all are rising again in Mumbai, but we're just taking precautions, having the
Hmm.
mask with.
Yeah,
So,
of course, of
yeah.
course. Yep. Awesome. So yeah, and we have our usual suspects, Yogesh and Mahesh. Yeah. So glad to have you guys back again. So Suvijay, we'll start with you. I mean, how has the experience been with the road safety series? Just before we come to the India versus England game. I mean, I know you've been there, you've been watching.
Yeah. It was amazing to be honest because you grow up watching Sachin Tendulkar, Brian Lara, and all these guys batting, and then all of a sudden, I mean, you just get to relive those moments because even today, that Sachin Tendulkar straight drive or a Brian Lara, the same flair. I mean, I mean, you can't describe it in words, and I mean, it was actually a great experience to be there and relive those memories. And even on Sunday, it's just like a 10-year challenge for India Sri Lanka World Cup final. A lot of those players have played, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it was awesome. And yeah,
Venu, I'm going to ask a question to Suvajit now.
Yep. Yep.
Suvajit, a lot of people like to say this, right? There's a lot of cricket left in him. How much cricket is left in these legends? What do you think?
I mean, I think there's a lot of cricket left in. Somebody like Brian Lara, I mean, I'm astonished with the fact that he will be 52
Exactly.
in a month and a half, and somebody like Dhamika Prasad probably who debuted uh, at the same time when Lara retired. So Dhamika Prasad he's still bowling at like around 135, 140 clicks, and Lara is still getting the bat down in
So,
time,
yeah.
and he's hitting straight drives off him, and absolutely, I mean, these guys are legends, and whatever they have achieved, they have, and uh, even for that matter, Tendulkar. I mean, if you see him practice, I mean, every single day he will still go out and he'll play those 100 odd balls, and he'll probably there's a joke going around that Arjun is a bowler because he
Got it, got it.
Sachin
Couldn't
wants
have
to
to say
bat.
anything further.
Uh, so absolutely, I mean,
Batting to Pappani.
so that's the whole thing, and again, Sehwag, you see the same approach. Yuvraj, once he gets his eyes in, we saw what
Yeah.
he did, and it's just like rolling the calendars back and going to the early 2010s or late 2000s. Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. Old habits
What about
die
the
hard,
needles
right?
that they get
yeah.
after every match? Do they get a lot of needles? Do you see the physio doing overtime?
Not really. I don't. I mean, they play serious cricket, but I don't think that it's just the fun part of it. I think that
Hmm.
once the match is over, they are like just Irfan Pathan. You see him chilling around. I mean, just to make another point, Irfan Pathan probably is the most hardworking guy. I mean,
Hmm.
he was there, uh, long before the other guys were there in Raipur. He practices hard, takes his batting very seriously. I
Hmm.
mean, he puts as much as effort like international cricketer would, and he is taking his. But yeah, once the match is over, you'll see him with his kids, and they are just like. But yeah, there's a bio bubble,
Yeah.
which these guys
Yes.
are in. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's incredible how, I mean, credit to the organizers for all these games happening right now in
Yeah.
the circumstances that we are in. And I think credit should go where it's due. To conduct all these games without any hassle, it's commendable.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the cases in Raipur are also much. I mean, Raipur is much more pleasant in terms of the current pandemic situation, and
Yep.
Hmm.
as a result, yeah, we get to see a lot of fans and a lot of cheering for these teams, especially when India is playing.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
Venu,
right,
here's
guys.
a little bit of a
Yep.
news.
Mhm.
England have won the toss and as expected, they have put India. I mean,
In
No
okay.
surprise.
so as
They're good as
expected,
them.
you said what? What's happening?
They're chasing.
England have put India in.
Oh, okay. We are going to bat first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to enjoy this, isn't it? Like
Exactly.
first batting, yes.
All right. So yeah. So coming back to this game. So obviously, Mahesh. Now that we know the outcome of the toss, how do you feel it might, alter the outcome of the game if there is any thing to consider from the recent results? But obviously, the last game is a big positive for India defending that score. So do you think that it's going to play in their mind, or it's going to be another game?
See, if you have to win any match, you have to play all the 40 overs well. Whether you're
Yeah.
batting first, you're bowling first. If you put up a score in excess of 200 runs in the finals, okay,
Yep.
I'm going to treat this match as a finals because it's 2-all.
Yeah.
The team that wins this match wins the series. So you go out with a very positive mindset, okay, and you decide that okay, whatever happens, I'm going to play the full 40 overs with a lot of passion, and there's nothing that can take that away from the Indian team. Like we discussed in the earlier show, Venu and Yogi, Imran Khan was of a very strong opinion that if you're playing finals, you have to bat first unless and until you're so sure that the dew is going to play a huge role. Okay.
Hmm.
Because the scoreboard pressure in the finals takes up almost about 20-25 runs access to whatever score has been set. So if India can reach about 180, 190, like what they did the other night, I think we've got a game on our hands, and
Oh,
I
yes.
think we should be able to pull it off. But if the dew is going to be too much for the spinners to handle, then bad luck. We will struggle.
So it's interesting you brought that point up, Mahesh, and I think this is the same thing which we were discussing with Rishikesh Kannan some time back as well, right? So on the Twitter chat. So I have a slightly different opinion. I mean, I wouldn't doubt Imran Khan or even the Australian way of playing first, batting first in a final. But I'm just starting to think whether that same theory applies in a T20 game or not. I can understand in a one-day final, yes, because it's an extended game. Bowlers have a lot of time to come back in the game, right? But
Hmm.
in a T20 game where the intensity and the momentum is already so high, I'm just thinking whether that makes a huge difference or is it just an advantage chasing when you know the target and when you know that this is what I need to go with, right? So that's something which is playing in my mind for a long time.
But also the fact that if there is a lot of dew, the wicket eases out, doesn't it? I mean, once it
Yep.
eases out, then you don't get
Hmm.
any lateral movement, you don't get the turn, so you can hit through the line, and we know that the English batsmen are very good at that. I mean, they've got some
Hmm.
real power. Right? You look at Jason Roy, you look at Ben
Yep.
Stokes. I mean, you've got Bairstow, you've got a long list of big hitters. So
Yep.
if there is nothing that the ball is going to do, then
Hmm.
you're actually going to face the music by the English batsmen. So to me, this dew, apart from the outfield, it also affects the wicket, and that is a bigger problem for India.
Interesting. And Yogi, on that point, on the due point, I remember Dinesh Karthik. Now that he's doing broadcasting for Stars for Sky Sports in England, so he mentioned a very interesting point, and I don't know whether what to make of it because it's very interesting. He said that since due plays a huge role in cricket, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the outcome of the game for day night games, is it fair, and especially these T20 games, is it fair for the curators to kind of sprinkle a bit of water in the outfield right from the beginning of the game so that it's even for both teams? I mean, it's a point which he made. I don't know what to make of it though.
I think what he's going towards is to say, okay, fine, let's make a fair contest of it and give both sides the same conditions, so to speak, right? Because in a test
Yep.
match, you would get
Yep.
you would get sort of a similar condition all through the day, for instance, right? In that way, I don't think it's sort of very untoward expectation as such. If you know that there's going to be dew, then why not even it out a little bit? I actually have a very different theory in my mind about the toss now,
Hmm.
and you see there are series which are probably decided more because of the toss than the skill level as such, right? And my
Yep.
theory is this, that if you've got matches, right, wherein there is a host team and there is a guest team, you sort of take alternate turns in terms of who gets to call the toss, in a sense,
Yep.
right? Call the
Yep.
toss is not to say heads or tails, but to say, okay, we get to make a decision in this game. And then if it's an odd sort of match series, the final say comes to the guest team, not the host team, right? And so that way what you do is the host has the responsibility of creating fair conditions for both teams, right?
Yep.
Very
And
Yep.
good, very good. Yeah.
the visiting team also has a little bit of a say in terms of, okay, what, a little bit of control over the outcome, so to speak.
Yep.
We know how toss can actually change the course of the series and all of that. I mean, as much as we talk about, okay, let's make this fair, let's make that fair, but there's
Yep.
one condition that is very easy, I feel, and that can be made fair, is this toss. Can we take it out of equation, because that's not so important, just
Yep.
like it happens in tennis match, right? You get
Yeah.
to serve first to open, and then in the second set, right, you will have to face the serve, right? And that way both the players get bit of an advantage to sort of square off. So
Yep.
just a thought, because that was a thought about
Yep.
sprinkling water. So here's mine.
Interesting.
No, that's a
And
very good thing that Yogi said. That is a very
exactly.
good point. What another option could be, you break this 20 overs to 10 overs. So first one team bats, then the other team bats. Okay. And then you have the third and fourth, because I think after only when the dew comes in. So then it becomes
Hmm.
a relatively even contest, right? And the dew would start setting in by about 8:30. And by the time both the teams would have batted once. So the second innings, both going to you advantage. So
You know
probably
what?
that could be another way of looking at it.
Fair enough, Mahesh. I get your point. I get Yogesh's point. Now, here's my point, Sujit. With regards to the toss, I'm just thinking, can we take the luck factor out of
It's
the
not a bad
equation
thing. It is
completely
chasing.
and
Yes.
have a bowl out to decide who bats first or bowls first?
That's again luck.
Earn your toss, right? Earn your
Earn your luck.
right first.
Why not? Why not? Why not? I quite like this idea actually. It's a good idea because anyway, bowl out is bowled out from the game. So it's a
Exactly,
good
right?
way
I thought it
to.
was so exciting, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
it was
sad that
quite
it was.
exciting. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's a good way to look at things. And again, what Mahesh was saying about the 10 overs, each
split
team
innings.
batting
Yeah,
10 overs. That is something. I mean, I think that is the way the ODI format should go ahead because
Correct.
exactly,
Sachin
25,
had
exactly.
mentioned
25.
about it.
Yeah.
I think 10 years back, Sachin had even
Yeah.
Australia had experimented with it, but they had to discontinue it because of the 2015 World Cup preparation. And
Yes,
that is something if because ODI format, the dew plays much bigger role because you're batting
Correct.
for
Longer
yes,
periods.
Longer
50
period of time.
overs. Yeah, so
correct.
that is something we should take very seriously, and
And I
ICC
think it
should
will make it more
uh,
exciting as well, right? It will take the boring 350s out of context, right? It's like,
Correct.
yeah.
I'm sick of seeing 350s and 400s being scored, man. I mean,
Mm.
honestly, and I would rather have two innings wherein, a team batting first would kind of find it difficult to know what's a good score that they can't take
Correct.
a lead upon, right? So that's something which would be interesting.
Exactly. It will also add a very different dimension to the game. Like,
Yeah.
you have a T20 where you are playing 20 overs, then you have a test cricket, which is a completely different format. And
Yes.
and the one day format will, like the T20 format, will not just be a compressed version of the ODIs.
Right.
So, all
Yes.
the three, there will be a lot of variations in all the three versions, if you
Correct.
see.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, interesting. So okay, coming back to the game today, Suvajit, I think we have a we have a lot of theories going on in our minds today. So, what should be India's approach? What's a good score now? Now that we have seen what happened in the previous game, 180 was defended. Do you think that that's the kind of benchmark that India would be looking at, or are they still
Yeah.
aiming higher?
See, exactly. Against England, I think India got lucky the other day because I don't think 185 was enough on that surface.
Hmm.
Again, when you talk about the England's the depth in batting they had, and at one point of time, they
Yep.
had the match pretty much in their control. And with the
Yep.
wet ball, with the kind of reputation that they have,
Yep.
and again, India has been a side that has been experimenting. I still believe that they do not take T20s as seriously
Yeah.
as they should, or they are
Yep.
not. The right way to say it would be they don't plan well for this particular format. And England, whatever Morgan says, you know, they are probably the only side that cares about the ICC T20I rankings, and
Yep.
Right.
they have a process in place and they have been working towards it for the last 6 years. Why else would they have just a T20I specialist batsman who leads the
Correct.
batting rankings, like David Miller?
Yep.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so so when you look at that, so against that particular team, if we are 2-2, so India has done incredibly well in this particular
Yes.
series. So even if we lose the final, I'll be
Yep.
happy because I was expecting with this sort of an approach, England should have won this either
Yep.
whitewashed or maybe at least won 4-1. That was
Yep.
the so this is now England are under pressure. Now since we are
Yep.
batting first and the DU is going to play a massive
Yeah.
role, and
Yep.
India have taken 6 bowlers, I believe. Natarajan is playing today,
That's
Yes.
the interesting
and
change I was about to
yeah,
come to Mahesh for.
yeah,
T. Natarajan in for KL Rahul. That's a huge, huge change, right, Mahesh? We were
good call.
discussing this some time back about
Yeah,
whether KL Rahul would be replaced by another batsman, but now T. Natarajan comes in. That's a big change. I mean, I never expected India to do this.
Even I did not. But let me tell you one thing. We were always playing with just five bowlers. And, last time around, Sundar had a pretty ordinary day and he got smacked all over the ground. So it's
Yeah.
always better to have another bowler to fall back on. And Natarajan, as we all know, is a very good death bowler, right? He bowls his Yorkers very well. We saw it
Yeah.
last time around in the IPL. So I think it's
Yep.
a very good team selection that I must say that Virat
Yep.
Kohli has done. Now the interesting thing is who is going to open with Rohit Sharma. We don't have Ishan Kishan today.
Virat,
So
Virat,
is it
Virat,
going to be
Virat.
Virat?
Either Virat or
I
Surya
mean,
Kumar Yadav. Yep.
Yeah, it will be Virat, I think.
you
Hmm.
never know. Just put Rishabh Pant out there and tell him, okay, go after the bowling. Because what it
Yeah,
does is it gives a left-right combination,
Yeah.
and we've got a lot of firepower lower down in the order. We've got Hade who's batting very well. Okay, then you've got Surya
Yeah.
Kumar Yadav. So maybe I would be tempted to throw in Rishabh Pant to open the innings. Let's see what Virat Kohli has in mind. I think
I
Suvajit
would
has
be
got something to
surprised.
say.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would actually look at somebody like a Washington Sundar as an option. Go
Why
out
not?
and
Yep.
do the Sunil Narayan way.
That's
I mean, you
actually a
got
great
nothing to
thought.
lose.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. I mean,
that
Rishabh
could
Pant can
be
still
a
be your
way.
finisher. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So for starters, Bhash has a very, very valid point, man. What will it take for Kohli to win a toss? Maybe try the middle finger or the pinky finger or the left hand. Try something different. That might work to start off. All right, Yogesh, what's your thought on this the selection part? And do you think that again what we discussed about the opening combination is that valid to get a left-hander in with Rohit Sharma?
That would be a brilliant idea. But if you ask me, who is the better pick among Sundar and Pant, I'd probably say Pant because he's done that job and he's played
Hmm.
in that slot as well. So if somebody has to play up, and actually,
Yep.
you know what, it might actually upset the English plans a bit because nowhere in their dreams would have thought that they might have to bowl to Pant up front. So actually, getting
Exactly.
Pant to bat would be a masterstroke if India do go that way. And there's
Yep.
also another thing. I've actually been thinking, and I saw I think ESPN Cricket one going through the team. Again, Sundar was written bowling all rounder, and I want to challenge that theory. I feel Sundar is probably as good a batsman as he's a bowler, and I think that
Absolutely.
it is because of Sundar is that Virat Kohli could drop
Rahul.
KL Rahul and bring in
Yes.
Natarajan. And also,
Yes.
what
Exactly.
it does is, Natarajan isn't just a replacement for KL Rahul as such, but Natarajan does two things. You
Yes.
can't expect a Hardik Pandya to do the Hardik Pandya that he did in the last match in every game,
Correct.
right?
Very true.
It
Very
will,
true.
it could also be that the load could be shared between Hardik Pandya and Sundar in this game, and Natarajan might actually dish in with the 4 overs. So in a
Yes.
way, India has covered two big sort of gaps in one stroke by bringing in Natarajan for KL Rahul, and which is
Yes.
they had spare batsmen in the ranks in the last match,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Sundar was coming in at 9. I was like, look, did you see him bat in Perth at all? But that aside, I think
Yeah.
this means
Yeah.
India is going to use their batting more efficiently and
Hmm.
bolster their bowling plans, which is good.
And I think Suvajit, another good point about bringing, say, a punt to open the innings is that then it will force Owen Morgan to think differently. Then he
Yeah.
cannot give Adil Rashid the first over. It will be a huge risk.
True. I mean, if Virat Kohli is batting, then Rashid is bowling the first over. So we know
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but it's good to see that Indians have been thinking differently and
Yeah.
moving away from the approach, the ODI like approach that you
Correct.
set
Yeah.
in, see a few overs and then uh, yeah, and so I think yeah, definitely. I mean, we
Yeah.
might see a surprise at the top, uh,
Hmm.
uh, and But I don't know. I still have a feeling that Kohli himself will be out to open because
Which is not a bad thing
if
at all, right? Considering how he kind of builds the innings, and if he's right from ball one, if he's facing right, I'm sure that he'll
yeah.
have enough time to kind
But
of build
then
that
in that case, one of the other batsmen will like Rohit will have to be
Rohit
more
Sharma has
proactive
to be
again.
correct.
Has to
Correct.
be
Agree.
because if both of them are looking to build an innings and one of them gets out, like we saw
Yes.
in the last game, like Rahul ended up scoring a 17 ball 14. That
Yeah.
actually ends up hurting you, especially against a team like England, where and these conditions. Because in England, if you see their approach, you have our batsmen. If everybody is playing like around 15 balls, you go and
Yep.
score 30 runs. That's the
Yeah.
target that they look
Yeah.
at. So yeah, so India will have to probably one of them will have to go after the bowling right from the
Yes.
start.
And I'm guessing it has to be Rohit Sharma for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the more potent in that role amongst the two. Nothing against Virat Kohli, but from a
yeah,
starting point in the power
yeah,
play overs. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Venu, I think there's one thing which I want to kind of bring to table is India shouldn't actually try and emulate the English template of batting, and there is a real risk if we try and do that. I was just watching pre-match sort of pitch report, and they said the pitch is likely to be slower. Now, what
Hmm.
happens when the pitch is slow and you try to go hard? Um, by aiming for 200, you might get shot out for 150, and that's the
Yeah.
last thing India needs today.
Exactly.
To be honest with you, even if you get something like 170, it's defendable if the pitch is not going to be too fast and kind of like the ball's not going to come on to bat. Then I'd say start in a assured way instead of
Hmm.
sort of going hard from the ball one. Get in, even if India get, let's say, 80 runs at the 10 over mark, I'd say they've done well, and then the
Yep.
team is strong enough to add another, let's say, 90 to 100 runs, and come what may, 170, 180 is not a small total, knowing that it's going to be the series decider. So I'm of the opinion that India shouldn't sort of look at going hard right from ball one and then risk themselves blowing that
Hmm.
middle order up.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, and I mean, I'm completely in agreement there, Mahesh, that obviously, when we try to kind of aim too high, somewhere in the
Yeah,
middle, that if wickets fall down, right, then you are like still looking at that
correct.
total, and you kind of have a collapse of sorts, right? So that's completely justified.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, go out to bat, the openers will have to assess the conditions. You don't know how the
Yep.
pitch is going to play, right? So you
Yep.
assess the condition. You don't take all 6 overs, but probably in a couple of overs, you know what the pitch is going to play like. Okay. Then you can send the word back to the dressing room to say, okay, here's a good opportunity for us
Right,
to get 180. Okay. Otherwise, you like what Yogi said, 200. You might fall short by about 50, 60 runs and you're out game straight away, right? So the fact of
Yep.
the matter is, don't go with a preset mind. Go
correct,
play the game. Maybe 5, 6 overs later, you know what kind of a total is. You have to conserve wickets in any
Yep.
form of the game. Wickets are very important. For the bowling side, it's important to get the wickets. The batting side, it's very important to conserve wickets. So don't throw away wickets. The word that I would use is don't play reckless cricket. Okay, you
correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
play good cricket, play smart cricket, play aggressive cricket, but don't play reckless cricket. If you can
Yeah.
keep the wickets in hand, more often than not, you will be able to get the 10 runs that Yogi said in the last 10 overs. It is
Yeah.
possible to get 100 runs in 60 balls with wickets in hand.
Yeah.
But if you've lost 4 or 5 wickets, we are going to struggle.
Agreed. Speaking of wickets and Yogi, I mean, looking at this wicket, right? I mean, every game we have literally something different on our cards, right? And we're talking about the same venue, same stadium, right?
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's the most fascinating aspect of this series, in this 5 game series, which is at the same venue, and
Yeah,
every
yeah, yeah.
game we're looking at black soil, red soil, this soil, that soil. I don't know what, man.
And if they can now have one of the pitches with a little bit of a grass, then they'll be ideal. They'd say, okay, let's bring all the cricket here and we'll play all flavors. It's bit like that ice cream cart, and you get a favorite each time you get to visit it. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. I just say that, I mean, previously you knew that, okay, if the match is in Nagpur, the pitch is
Yeah.
going to behave this way. If it's in
Yeah.
Mumbai, it's gonna do this. But now here is a wicket that's bit of a, what do I say, mystery each time you turn up.
Yep, absolutely. Interesting question here by Bash. Is it going to be increasingly difficult for bowlers like Chahal and Natarajan
Hmm.
to be sure shot starters in the 11? I mean, will we continue to try players with more all round talent so that we back deeper in the World Cup? Very good question. I think if you see, Suvajit, that's been our story right in the last 4 or 5 months, right? We have been continuously getting players who are just, getting in and, doing some wonder
Doing well,
right
yeah.
from the Australia series, right?
Yeah, I think this will continue. I mean, IPL will play a very important part. By the end of the IPL, we will know that
Yep.
who are our players. Natarajan pretty much is in the mix of things because we
Yep.
saw how he bowled in the IPL and then in the Australia tour also. He
Yes.
was one of the difference makers when he went on to win the series. What I am a bit concerned about is the fact that uh, it is a good ploy to have six bowlers playing,
Yep.
especially with the due around. I think we saw with Washington Sundar, he struggled. Uh,
Mm.
it was not about more than the skills, it was more to do with the wet ball. And I think that's where Natarajan comes in today. But
Yep.
again, this England side, what they have done very well in the last 6 years since Morgan has completely taken over the white ball format, that they have tried and not repeated the same mistakes again. So
Yep.
something like cutters, slower cutters that has worked for India in the
Yep.
last game,
Yeah.
probably they will be up for it. So India will have to be one step ahead in their plans, and that
Yep.
is something I'm looking forward to in this game. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, yeah, you cannot have the same template again because obviously they
Yeah.
would understand that that's the India strategy, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
probably I feel that's why Natarajan has come in to kind of change
yeah.
that approach a bit and, focus on the
Possible.
traditional
Yorkers, yeah,
Yorkers. Exactly. Right. So that's,
exactly, yeah,
which is a good move. I believe it's a great
yeah.
tactical
Great.
move.
It's a very, very good move. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very
All
good
right,
move.
guys. I think we have 3 more minutes for the game to start. Let's go with predictions. Suvajit, you go first.
I mean, yeah, definitely England start as favorites. Now that they have won the toss, so they are the favorites. But yeah, obviously, as heart says India, and probably we'll be pulling it off. This team is very high on confidence, and they
Yeah.
believe in themselves that whatever the situation may be, even if we end up scoring 150 or 160, this team will go out believing that we can do the job. And I back our players, back our bowlers, and especially what we saw after the Australian tour. I mean, definitely. I mean, beating England shouldn't be much of a. It definitely be a task, but yeah, we are game for it.
Mahesh?
Yeah,
Momentum is an aspect. I think India will definitely win because we're getting in the momentum from the past. We batted first and we defended 180. Today, like what you said, Natarajan is going to be a key player, right? Because they haven't played Natarajan so far. He's an
Hmm.
unknown commodity for them. And on these wickets, I think they'll come very handy. Look out for Natarajan.
Yogi? Oh, you're on mute.
The same prediction as I did on the Twitter chat. May the best team that plays well on the day. Because honestly speaking, I feel this is such a 50-50 thing, especially because England are so strong, and not just sort of strong from a skill point of view, but they're well led. They play this format really really well, and they're mentally also strong. And we don't need proof for that, right? So I do expect this contest to be really really well contested. But because we've been calling players, right? So I'm going to call out actually Hardik Pandya to be the key player in this match. I know he struggled, but look out! I mean that guy I think is a dynamite, and on his day he could just change the games like only he can. I think.
All right. All I'll say is that I wish we go into the last ball having all three results possible.
Why not a super over? Why can't we have a super over then?
All three results possible and go into a super over.
make sure we have hit more boundaries there.
More boundaries than English. All right, guys. Thanks, Suvajit. Thanks, guys,
Yeah,
for joining in.
Thank you.
Looking forward to this game, and hopefully next week we'll have lots more to talk about with the ODI series coming up in Pune. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.
Cheers! Bye!
bye guys,
Thank you.
bye.